podcast. The world is changing fast. New technologies are impacting how we think about products, services, and the way we live our lives. Nowhere is this trend more present than in financial services, where new business models and customer expectations are changing our conceptions about banking, finance, and the very nature of money. Welcome to Rebank, a visionary podcast about banking, fintech, and the future. The future of banking is here. Welcome to Rebank. I'm your host, Will Beeson. Thanks very much for tuning in today. We're happy to be on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud. Check us out, Rebank, Banking the Future. Subscribe, leave a review if you like the show, and definitely get in touch. We're on Twitter at Rebank Podcast, or you can connect with me, your host, directly at Will_Beeson, Beeson. We look forward to hearing from you. Hello and welcome to Rebank. Today I'm thrilled to be joined by Slava Solodkiy, Singapore-based venture capitalist and fintech and blockchain expert. Slava founded Life.SREDA, a fintech-focused VC fund, in 2012 and has been running it ever since. Life.SREDA 1, which was focused on A rounds in the US and Europe, invested $40 million in 13 companies including Fidor, Moven, Simple, Anthemis, SumUp and Rocketbank. In November 2014, Life.SREDA launched its second fund, a $100 million fund focused on B rounds in Asia. So far, Fund 2 has invested in companies including Fastacash, Mobikon, Lenddo, Ayannah and SoftPay. Life.SREDA also runs a $100 million global blockchain fund. Slava and his team at Life.SREDA also regularly produce amazing fintech reports, including Money of the Future, which I'd highly recommend anyone with an interest in the space check out. Slava is active on Twitter at Slava Solodkiy, SLAVA SOLODKIY, and is on LinkedIn and Facebook under the same name. To find out more about Life.SREDA and to apply to pitch the fund if you're a startup, visit www.lifesreda.com, LIFESREDA. Life.SREDA also has a very cool Instagram stream that everyone should check out. Slava, welcome to Rebank.
Hi, Will. Thank you so much for your invitation.
Great. So, first of all, I should say thanks for jumping on the call all the way from Singapore, because with time differences between me here in London, you in Singapore, it can be complicated. So thanks for making the effort.
No worries.
Good.
It's my pleasure.
Great. I provided a brief overview of you and the fund. I'd love to hear a bit more about your background. How did you end up in Singapore running a VC fund?
I launched this fund about 4 years ago. Before that, I worked for 12 years in two biggest private banks and one biggest telco in Russia. I launched this fund when I and my team, we were in Moscow. To be honest, even the word fintech didn't exist at that time. And since 5th of May last year, we relocated from Moscow to Singapore, and now we are living in Singapore and operating from this amazing city. But to be honest, if previously and today we spent 80% of our time in airplanes because we always have to educate ourselves to meet with entrepreneurs across the world.
Mm-hmm. One question I've always asked myself, which I would love to quickly clear up: where does the name Life.SREDA come from?
It is the most often question for me. Sreda means in Russian environment, society, ecosystem, and also Wednesday. We prefer meaning ecosystem, but also so many meanings of this word give us passion not to translate this word from Russian to English or other languages.
I like that. That's interesting, and it's no doubt reflective of kind of the variety of the work that you do across geographies, across sectors.
Yep.
So tell us a bit more about the fund. Fund 1 was a global fintech fund in which you guys played to a large extent, it sounds like, in in neobanks and new banking business models, and more recently you've transitioned to an Asia focus. What are you guys currently focused on, and how has that kind of process played out over time?
If previously from first fund we mostly invested in US, UK, Germany, when we launched second fund, we started to be focused on Asian region or US, European companies which want to go to Asia. And regarding our LPs, we are very close to banks which want to discover fintech area for themselves, also telcos and big investment funds.
Mm-hmm. So the Asia focus, is that more a function of the fact that you see Asia as particularly interesting, or that you guys have a particular competitive advantage in that area?
Regarding Asia, we saw that 2 years ago we saw that many things happen in this region, and the speed of growth here much higher than speed of growth in US or Europe, and finally we decided, but it's impossible to work here remotely, and finally we decided to relocate ourselves from Moscow to Singapore, and now we spent, as I mentioned, 80% of our time just to travel across different Asian countries. Why we inspired by this region? Not only because of speed of growth, but also because here so many unbanked customers. It means that we are providing them opportunity to not just to change, to replace good banking services to better fintech services, but to jump from the past, from cash to the future. And also, if previously fintech focused mostly on retail customers, here so many SMEs and lines between retail customers and micro and small businesses here already blurred, and also many governments like Singaporean government, government of Hong Kong, Korea, Japan, India, they spend so much time to support fintech in these countries, and for these reasons we decided that here we can not only just to earn more money as any investors across the world, but also to influence to lives of real people and to help governments to improve financial situation with cutting-edge technologies.
That makes a lot of sense. You guys launched a blockchain fund. I guess it was either early this year or late last year. And where does that fit into the kind of the larger focus of Life.SREDA?
Yes, this April we announced with extremely well-known guys like Chris Skinner, David Breer, and Simon Taylor, the BB Fund in London. This fund is focusing on blockchain startups across the world. Focus of this fund also this fund tailored for banks. I mean that today it's too early to invest directly to each blockchain startups to them because it's very hard to decide who will be a leader in each vertical in blockchain area. But in 1-2 years it will be too late to invest. And we are providing them an opportunity to be in touch with this high, rapidly growing area. We are using us like gateway to blockchain to use our brains, network, also to invest a little bit in many startups which they can invest directly by themselves. And it will provide them opportunity to know more. We are based on internal data, not just based on public pitches or investors' decks, which are able to check on the market today or tomorrow, but to know internally about employees, achievements, fails, next steps, features in terms of technologies of these companies. We are like gateway, like bridge between banks which want to discover this area and blockchain startups which today are too small for them, but soon they will be prepared enough.
Okay. And transitioning back to Asia, in terms of fintech in Asia, what most interests you right now? What are some of the most powerful trends in fintech in Asia?
Regarding Asia, as I mentioned before, this region is very interesting because of size of unbanked customers, so also part of economy which belongs to small and medium businesses also very high, and you can involve these customers also into fintech area, not only retail customers. Regarding verticals in fintech which are growing here faster than others, we can talk about remittances, we can talk about infrastructure players which provide opportunity to accept cards, e-wallets, etc., like MPS acquiring, online acquiring, because e-commerce startups here growing very fast. Also loans, online lending for sure is very very fast growing area, especially on, as I mentioned, on unbanked markets. For example, in Philippines, penetration of banking services is about 16 or 18%. It means that loan area belongs not to banks, belongs to pawn shops or microfinancial institutions, and finally this kind of fintech startups will provide opportunity to use capital to grow for your business or for your personal reasons for extremely unbanked part of population. Also, we can talk about mobile banks or neobanks or challenger banks regarding overbank markets like Singapore, Hong Kong, Seoul, or Tokyo. As you know, as everybody know right now, e-wallets, especially from China and India, growing very well. Like Alipay, like Paytm. Also, here Asian-based social messengers like Line, KakaoTalk, Telegram, they are much better or well known here than WhatsApp, and they provide opportunity for remittances or micro lending or micro insurance, or even for online trading or personal financial management startups to use their customer base of these messengers to reach potential customers and to expand via new products in their product line, and to increase their ARPU and profit per customer.
Mm-hmm. No, I think it's a really interesting distinction, a really interesting point that you make, that in overbanked markets like North America, Europe, Singapore, Hong Kong, so much of the focus of fintech has been on doing things incrementally better than incumbents, on improving customer experience, reducing cost. Whereas in much of the emerging world, parts of Asia on which you focus, it's really about expanding the scope of financial services to huge segments of the population that haven't previously enjoyed them. And certainly from a kind of a social well-being standpoint, the opportunity is very much deeper in those developing parts of the world.
Yeah, in Asia we can talk about more features which can differentiate this region from North America or the UK or Germany. We can talk about that here you cannot exist only online for offline, online to online. Every time your online services have to be integrated with offline. This opportunity, it's not problem, it's real opportunity to play both like O2O solution. Also, here I met for last 1.5 years with more than 100 startups, and most of them they do not want to go to IPO as startups from Europe and North America always pitching. Most of them really focusing not about the evaluation, but how to generate higher payment volume and how to provide profit for themselves and for their shareholders, and to be sold via M&A or for bigger players. I mean, maybe they look not so ambitious, but finally they are more pragmatical, and in terms of real business, and real business always belongs not for your higher valuation, but for your higher profit. It is more interesting for potential shareholders of these companies.
Mm-hmm. Does the online to offline dynamic, as opposed to online to online, mean that the capital requirements are higher for some Asian fintech startups as opposed to European or North American?
It is not the influence only for high investments. Requirements for investments here is the same like everywhere across the world, but this fact influence to your use cases which you will provide to the market. If we will talk about US and European fintechs, most of them belongs to they're focusing mostly on products and technologies. Here startups mostly focusing on execution and distribution. And regarding auto development, for example, they always use agents like non-financial players, because, for example, in Philippines there are more than 7,000 islands, and banks cannot cover these territories, and only via integration with non-financial partners or agents you can organize cash in, cash out network. You can promote without advertising your wallets or your dongles, like to accept cards. Also, for example, in several countries still do not exist centralized credit federal scoring bureaus, and from one side it looks like problem, but from other side it is great opportunity for big data companies which are focusing on online scoring algorithms, because penetration of messengers and social networks like Facebook and local messengers like KakaoTalk and Line here very high, and this usage provides a lot of data for potential lenders to give out loans with lower risk based on analysis of customer behavior, which you can download from their smartphones or data from their profiles from messengers or social networks.
Mm-hmm. Does the fact of having one foot in the offline world have implications for scalability, speed, and ability to cover larger user bases and cross international borders?
It is very good and very, to be honest, painful question for today for fintech here in Asia, because scaling it is the biggest, it is number one problem for whole fintech players here, even for big guys like Alipay or Rakuten or other. And why it's happened? Because first of all, first lesson which we learned when we came to Asia, there is no common Asia. Each country is so unique. Use cases, customer behavior, customer needs, and hopes and fears are different from case to case, and it's always need from your side as founders of these fintechs to customize, to localize your solution to each market. Second one, it is that here not so many banks which are active in fintech area, and always you when you are trying to launch your fintech startup, here you will spend more than 1 year and more than 80% of your first resources to be launched, in comparison with US, where you will spend 3, maximum 6 months to be launched, and only 20% for this period and 80% of your resources to attract and serve your customers. And even you will be king of the hill on your domestic market, when you will decide to go to other markets, your story will start from the beginning, because you will need to find one more bank to describe them what do you want to do, why they need to use why they need to be integrated with you, and after that you will be integrated with their backend, and their backend will be different, which you did before, and it will spend 1 more year for you to go to other market, and after that 1 more year to other market. And right now, whole players, not only fintechs but also VC guys like we are, regulator, thinking about how to solve this problem. And we are supporting today very big project named Basis, which trying to connect different banks across Asia to provide them bank as a service platform to launch and scale.
Yeah, so I'd love to hear a bit more about your bank as a service platform, because it's certainly something that's of huge interest.
As I mentioned before, when you will go as a fintech founder to any bank here in Asia, you will find that not only it's not so hard to describe them what you want to do, but finally when they will decide to be integrated with you, to use their license and distribution channels to promote your service, finally it will be very, very hard to be integrated directly with their backends, because they do not still have their own open APIs for these integrations. And this project named Basis, it is Game of Wars, Bars is and Basis. This project trying to connect, they try to find one bank in each country, and after that to plug in their backends to middleware, which consists from more than 40 open APIs, and they will create 100 more in 1-2 years. And after that they want to give out these open APIs for fintech startups, for e-commerce giants, for messengers, for telcos to launch their own fintech services. And it will provide extremely great value for fintechs, because you have to be integrated with this platform only once, and after that this platform will provide you opportunity to go to any country across Asia Pacific region. And from other side, it is extremely useful for unbanked markets, because, for example, when you as a founder of a fintech startup, you will decide to which market you want to go, for example, to Australia or Vietnam. You will go to Australia, to Myanmar or South Korea. You will go to South Korea. It means that always unbanked markets will lose this competition to attract your attention as a new potential player on the market. But when this bank as a service platform will exist, these unbanked markets will be so easy to be integrated, to scale to your service, and finally it will be easier to you to go to these areas, and finally it will be very useful for them to attract your talents, technologies, to increase financial literacy, financial inclusion to final customers on these markets.
And what's your role in Basis? Is it as an investor, an advisor? Are you actually involved in implementation?
We are minor shareholder of this company, and also we are advisors for this team, because we are, from one side, we very well experienced how to work with fintechs across the world and what they need. For example, when European companies will want to go to Asia, what they will need from your side as partner. From other side, we spent more than 1 year to talk with more than 150 startups here, and we know a lot about their needs, fears, and hopes. And from other side, we always in touch with banks, and we know how hard for them to create infrastructure to host fintechs based on their infrastructure. And from other side, we are trusted by regulators across Asia that we played in fintech area for many years, and they trust our opinion and our advices.
We touched on regulation before, I guess in the context of scaling and the impact on scalability. We've seen some very proactive moves recently out of the likes of Singapore and Hong Kong in terms of regulation. How big of an issue is regulation in Asia for fintech? And how impactful do you think moves like what Singapore and Hong Kong have done will be?
Yes, several countries like Singapore, Hong Kong, but also Japan, South Korea, especially India, their regulators spent a lot of attention to support fintechs. It is very positive and it's great. But from other side, soon they will have to answer for several questions. Do they still advocate of banks, or they already became advocate of fintechs? Because right now they are doing right steps and they are talking right words, but finally for whom they try to protect and support? Do they really try to play in fintech only to protect currently existing traditional banks, or they really open to change financial field, financial area, and to support newcomers like UK regulator successfully did for the last several years, and vice versa? They have to change a little bit their mindset that fintech do not exist in standalone countries. Fintech, it is part of digital economy, and digital economy, it is about how to be in many countries across the world. And when they are trying to change their regulation in each different country, it's not so, it is very important for today, but tomorrow they will have to unite whole regulation in one, because really when fintech scale from one country to other country right now, especially in Asia, it is very hard to change the features to regulation in each country. And I think it will be very useful when whole regulators across the region will think not only about how to support fintech, but also how to unify, how to clarify regulation across the region to help fintechs to scale. Also, we have to talk about infrastructure, as I mentioned before, about middleware and about how to be technically launched and scale. Because right now you can be launched in different countries, but still it's impossible to move between borders, through borders.
You've made some fantastic investments in the likes of Moven, Simple, Fidor, Fastacash, Lenddo, and more. How do you evaluate investment opportunities in fintech? What are the key drivers of a strong investment thesis for you?
We are starting to analyze any vertical in fintech in advance, even before any startup will come to us with their proposal, with their investment deck. We are spending all our time just to educate ourselves and to analyze the market. When, for example, US, I do not know, for example, you are startup in mobile banking area, and before you will come to us, we will know a lot about whole vertical, about whole players in this area, about the features last announcement, about the traction, and we prefer to invest in investment ideas. I mean, not only like traditional funds which are trying to play like spray and pray players. If we believe in opportunities of your vertical, we will try to invest in several companies in this vertical, because when we are investing in complementary companies, finally we will see whole picture. It will provide us opportunity to give you as a shareholder on your board not only to provide you just cash, but also to provide you better vision to hedge your risk. Because, for example, if some company will perform not so well, we can sell via share swap this company for better one, and it will provide win-win situation, because we will not earn enough money on this deal, but we will not make 100% write-off. For US, for example, not so well performing company, it will be not epic fail. You will still work on the market like part of bigger company, and for this bigger company, it will be new markets, new technologies, new employees, and finally everybody will win, and we can hedge our own risk of our LPs, and risk of portfolio companies. Also, we are providing our portfolio companies great networking with more mature companies across the world, because they trust us and they know us for many years, and we always in touch with big guys on next steps, on next stages. We always asking them, what do you want, what do you expect from small companies, which KPIs or markets or product solutions are you waiting for from their side to invest to them, or finally to buy out these companies. And also we are providing sometimes, like 1 year ago, we launched our accelerator and incubator in Singapore, Inspirasia, which hosting Asian fintech startups, not only Singaporean, but also fintechs from different Asian countries, not only like space, but also like ability to be in touch with big guys from the industry, with fintech starts, with more mature startups, and or with C-level guys from banks.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things that I love most about what you do, and Life.SREDA more broadly, is the way you really seem to take your role, responsibility within the fintech ecosystem in Asia seriously. So it's not just deploying capital and looking to maximize return metrics. It's supporting companies. It's curating relationships. It's investing in things like Basis that can actually kind of support the entire ecosystem. Companies, incumbents, startups, investors, founders, and naturally, as a result, end users in these underserved countries. I think you guys really do great work.
Thank you so much for your kind words. Yes, it's very important to us. We are not, since the beginning, we are not just one more cash in, cash out guys on the market. We are monoliner player. We are playing only in fintech area, and vice versa. As you mentioned, we are like ecosystem builder or ecosystem evangelist, promoter, advocate. We always try to, for example, when we started to issue our fintech report, Money of the Future, and started to distribute it for free, everybody asked us, why you do it for free? Because it is very smart, very professional, very unique knowledge. Why you do not try to save it only for your own usage, or why do you not want to sell it for somebody else? And finally, we are answering that, come on, the future of fintech, it's not only in today, it is in the future. And when we are distributing our knowledge via this report, Money of the Future report, or via our conferences or networking sessions in different countries, we are trying to help not only buy money for currently existing fintech startups, but what's more important for us, we are trying to inspire younger people to think about fintech, and when they will decide to create their own fintech startup, they will come to us not because we will be rich, but because they will know that we passion them, we inspire them before to do it, and they will trust us, not because we will sign many papers, but because they will understand that we are on the same level of our values, of our chemistry, our behavior. It's really very important to us.
And those reports are phenomenal. And where can people find the reports? Where can they subscribe?
We have more than 50,000 downloads of each report. We are distributing it via our site, fintech-research.com, or you can download it directly from site of our fund, Life.SREDA.com. But for the last report, if previously we issued each report annually, right now fintech started to grow so fast, and recently we decided to issue it twice a year. And 3 weeks ago, not 2 weeks ago, we issued new chapter, Money of the Future, for first half of this year. And for first 14 days, we already have more than 20,000 downloads, and I think we will have more than, I do not know, about 100,000 downloads finally of this chapter.
Well, that's so impressive, and it's not only a reflection of how important fintech is across the world, but I think it's very much a reflection of the quality of the work that you guys do.
Thank you.
Yep. So great. Thank you very much for your time today. It's been really interesting to dig into some of the trends in fintech in Asia. What's the best way for people to connect with you and find out more about the fund?
Regarding myself, you can find me easily in Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, even in Instagram via my name and surname, Slava Solodkiy. Also, as you mentioned, our fund is very active to share our knowledge, ideas, vision, and values via different resources like our own site, Life.SREDA.com, but also via aggregating and analyzing whole fintech news on our site, fintech-ranking.com, and our reports based on fintechresearch.com.
Great. Well, Slava, thank you very much for your time. It has really been an enjoyable conversation.
Thank you, Will. You are doing the same very important work like we are doing. You are trying to distribute knowledge from more mature guys to new potential entrepreneurs. And thank you so much, too, for your supporting of the industry. It's very important.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for tuning into Rebank. If you like today's show, reach out. Follow us on Twitter at Rebank Podcast and join the conversation. For more on banking, fintech, and the future, check out our regular content at www.bankingthefuture.com.